Well, good morning. It's Saturday morning, February 8th, and it's time for an accountability check on using my planner to help me get things accomplished here. And here was the last week that I had filled out, setting my goals for Friday the 1st through Friday the 7th. And we'll take another look at it, but I can pretty much guarantee I didn't do any of this because I had a very busy, very momentous week. But I'll see what it says. Did I do 100% of my personal growth? No. I don't think I got to meditate more than once last week. I didn't do any intentional exercise last week. What I did was the unintentional stuff. Mostly cleaning out that back room. So I guess I can check that one off. The back room is cleared. Now the reason I'm doing this report on Saturday instead of Friday was that I refused to make this video until I could come on here and say that that back room had been cleared. So it has been cleared, but I didn't touch the front room. My hallway is still decorated for Christmas, and Valentine's Day is this week. So I need to do that. I didn't get anything done on my spring quilt or my firefly fairies, and I didn't get out to clean out the grass around that rose, the hot cocoa rose. I did get some weeding done in my front yard. I did pull some grass and some honey clover out of the flower bed, and I've been experimenting with how to do a bigger swatch of young plants at a time. I have an area that I have in my design plan up here for native plants and flowers. I planted a redbud tree in the winter, and it's doing fine. And then, I mean, it's little, but it went deciduous when it was supposed to, and now it's putting out new growth when it's supposed to. So that was good, but I have a half dozen California buckwheat to plant in there, 3 sages, and a bunch of Asclepias, our native Asclepias, which is a narrow leaf and blooms pink, to kind of intermix there for the monarchs. So I need to get the small plants that are coming up. It kind of breaks my heart to do it because a lot of them are baby golden poppies. But that's not what I need to get in the ground right now. I need to get these natives in the ground before it starts getting hot again. So I kind of experimented with some ways. I did a little tilling. I don't like to till because you're bringing up ancient seeds, and I'm trying to get on top of the seeds. That's why I'm trying to get it done now before it all goes to seed again. So anyway, didn't do anything. What did happen this week, I did clean out that back room. I took about 8 loads, I think, of in my little SUV, my little crossover, plastic boxes full of things to the storage unit so that I could work in a cleared out room. And then a lot of that will come back and be in the storage under the bed, or be in the bed I'm going to use has like dressers on both sides, and some of that stuff can get stored in there, or in the closet once I get the closet set up, or I did, as I'll explain in the video. I've already taken the video to show the room its condition now, but I did do a lot of purging while I was doing that, so it won't all come back in the same condition that it left. It's been reorganized, repacked, and I did just throw a lot of stuff in the trash. But for now, it's ready to go on to the next stage, and that was huge. Going along with that, I had things to take to other people, and I hadn't planned that into this, into my planner. For example, as I was purging that room, I found a whole bunch of office supplies, a unopened package of college-ruled notebook paper, a whole bunch of scratch pads, never opened Post-it notes, a handful of number 2 pencils that had never even been sharpened. So I said, I hate to throw away these supplies, but I don't want them here. And it dawned on me, duh, I used to teach a mile away from where I live. People were always dumping office supplies out in our teacher's lounge for us, and we were always happy to get them. So I showed up at my school, and accidentally the timing was such that I was there right on time for their morning break. And I took that opportunity, rather than just dump the stuff and go, which was my original plan. I kind of hung out in the staff room when they all came in for their nutrition break in the morning, and I got to see my colleagues, some of them I haven't seen in 2 years. And it was really lovely to be greeted by people who liked you and were glad to see me. And I got hugs, and I got, people hearing, hey, Debbie's in the lounge, and they came in to give me a hug and say hi. And so I'm very isolated most of the time. I'm either with my mom or with her quilt club group, or I'm home working on these projects. And it taught me something about my priorities and about how I spend my time, that I need to be open to getting reconnected with people from time to time. To actually have human contact is kind of a nice thing from time to time. So I took advantage of that while I was there. Got a nice little chat in with one of my closer friends, who I did socialize with a little bit away from school. And she's going through a really traumatic time right now, and she works really hard. She has her full-time teaching job and a tutoring career after school in the evenings, and a new grandbaby, and a mother going through a rough time. And she just doesn't have pockets of time. But she said, but I do have Saturday afternoons. I said, let's book it. Let's have lunch Saturday. I'll drive you out to our favorite restaurant. We'll eat, and then we'll drive home, and we'll get caught up, and we don't have to spend a whole day doing it. And so we did. So today I'll be leaving in a couple of hours to go pick her up, and we're going to go have lunch together and get caught up. Then on the same day, I went to my local needle workshop, and there wasn't anybody. She wasn't having any classes, and she wasn't totally crowded or anything. And rather than taking the 20 minutes to buy the floss that I thought I was going to do, I ended up being there over 2 hours, getting private lessons, things I didn't know, things about products that I hadn't heard yet. And so it was worth it. It cut into my time getting on top of what needs to be done around my house. But it was lovely to have that contact with her and to learn some things I didn't know. And I'll put those into my floss tube videos. I won't take this planning video to do that. But yeah, it was a week that didn't go as planned. And I didn't even take time. I set these goals for the week. I don't know if you can see this. I set these goals, but I never filled out the daily here, other than being with my mom and my chiropractor's appointment. There's nothing on here. So I'll get to this maybe. This might be, filling these things out sound like a good thing to do while I'm at my mom's. And so I may just have to jiggle around a little bit when I actually do these reports, which are frankly for myself, to keep myself on point. So I'm going to close it out now. There's nothing really to report. Yes, and I'll put the pictures of the room in there. And in that bit, I talk about what I want to do next. I will say at this point, I'm looking at spending, another thing that happened last week, I had scheduled some time in the yard, and it was cold here. Here comes my sunbeam back. I was trying to get this done while it was overcast, while there was a cloud over the sun. We'll see if it gets too sunny here. I had set aside the time to do the work in the yard. And on the morning that I woke up, that I was going to get out there early, maybe about 8 o'clock and get going, at 7:30 in the morning here, Southern California, it was 34 degrees and windy. And with the wind chill, they were saying that we were at 23 degrees. And I know that a lot of you work in that all the time. More power to you, but it ain't me. I was not going to go out there. And it was cold enough in the house because I don't keep my heat real high in here. But there was no way I was going to go out in the wind in what was 23 degree temperatures just to pull grass. So I'll close this up now. And I do have, I was going to commit. I have still some, I got totally into floss tube last week and started looking for old cross-stitch projects that I had lost track of and found them here and there throughout the house, and they're now all over my table over here. So that's my next step, is to start organizing those so that I can commit more to doing cross-stitch. And then I also will be moving, I decided since there's still room in the storage unit, I'm going to move some stuff out of my sewing room that's in my way from doing sewing. And I'm refinishing a sewing cabinet that's going to go in there. And if I move this stuff out of the way, and that was another thing I didn't mention about the back room, I'm going to move the sewing cabinet project into that room to finish the chalk painting on it, because it's just been too cold outside. Especially in the evenings when I would have to be working on that. And to work on it, there's no garage space. So I have to pull it out on the driveway to do it. It just doesn't work. But it occurred to me that if I could pull it into this back room and use the tabletop in there to do it, then with a tarp over it, then when it's time I can reassemble the sewing cabinet in the sewing room and put the stuff that needs to go in the sewing cabinet that right now is just under the table that's in there. I can put it in there. So it will all come together eventually, but for now what is good for me is to get that stuff out of there. And then that gives me an hour or so in the evenings when I don't have to be working on that I can sit and actually relax by doing my cross stitch and doing my other kinds of handwork. So that's it. That's my commitments for next week. I've been taking a native plant class in the evenings on Thursday nights, so I'll leave my mom after her quilt club and go take that class. And other than that, it looks like a fairly quiet week, knock on wood, that I should be able to kind of get my feet back under me again and move ahead. So keep moving forward. See you next week. So here is the state of the back bedroom now. This is its midway through the process picture, because all that's happened is that I've pulled all that stuff out. It's in a storage unit. It took longer than I'd planned because I was not interested in just taking a lot of garbage out and bringing a lot of garbage back and having to decide what to do with it. What I did was sort and purge and throw things out and rehome them. This had been my son's bedroom at one time. It had been my son's bedroom a second time. Then it had been his office. And he had done a pretty good job of clearing things out excuse me, when he left, but there's always flotsam. And it was really kind of funny because I would text message him as I did this and say, I'm nervous about just throwing things away that appear to be trash that aren't really trash. And so I'm just putting your stuff over in a certain area, and I'd appreciate it if you'd come check it and see. I don't mind throwing it in the trash, but I want you to give final approval. So he had this bookshelf in here, and the entire bottom two shelves, or one and a half of those bottom shelves, were stacked with papers from when this was his office. And they were invoices for things, and they had personal information on them from clients. And I said, so this paper here, I said, I can't make this decision because I don't know what this stuff is. And I said, can I just put it in my trash, or does it need to be shredded? And if it needs to be shredded, are you okay with me just taking it to the shred event that my credit union puts on right around tax time every year? And he said, no, his son is fascinated watching papers go through their shredder at home, but he's run out of junk mail. And when he runs out of junk mail, his son just starts grabbing papers off his desk and wanting him to run them through the shredder so that he can watch. And my son has to say, no, not that, not that. So he came over the other day we got him a big hefty trash bag, and he pulled what were thousands of pieces of paper out, put them in the trash bag to take home to shred until his son gets bored with watching the shredder, and then he'll just have to shred them because legally they need to be shredded. But I got such a giggle out of that. And then when he got here and started looking through the other stuff, he had essentially said, if I haven't taken it by now, I don't want it and I don't need it, you can just throw it out. But I wasn't comfortable with that. And so he looked through the stuff that I had piled to the side just to let him take final, inventory and make sure there was nothing there he needed, and found the cushion for a drum throne that he says, I've been looking everywhere for this. And so that whole idea of if I haven't used it by now, I'm not going to use it, kind of went out the window, which is the long way around of saying, yeah, this took longer than I thought because there was quite a lot of that, sorting things that were not necessarily going to go to the storage unit and come back. And that's what's left here. I can't move the keyboard. It's too heavy. All I can do is kind of drag it. So I dragged it to the middle of the room. My son's going to take the table eventually, but for right now, I'm going to just put a tarp over the keyboard and over the table and work around it, because the only work I need to do in here right now is the walls. There's a lot of nails. You can see a lot of nails. There are holes, small holes, bigger holes in the wall. Things have been like these things where we want something that's going to hold it a little better than just the wallboard is in the walls. And then where those things were and we've taken them out, there are holes. And this is just an oopsie hole. And this is another oopsie hole. And so the whole room is pretty much like this. This must have been where my husband, when it was my husband's office, he probably tried to bring an internet cable of some kind through here. That needs to be patched up. And all of this I can do. The windows need to be scraped and cleaned. I need to replace a screen. I'm going to need to hang new blinds here pretty soon because it gets very warm in here. It feels good now because it's been chilly. The backyard is a whole different story. Yeah, just a lot of stuff that is going to need care. My son's coming back. The cupboards are pretty much empty. And he's going to come and help me take these down. It's not something, I'm not sure even he could do them by himself. But we're going to take the cupboards out, and that will leave more damage that needs to be repaired. So yeah, just a lot of wall damage that needs to be repaired, but I can pretty much do it, especially once the cabinets are down, just by walking around the edges. I don't need an empty room to do those chores. And then in my closet, which is also pretty much empty, this is a box of things that need to be filed at home, but we don't need access to all the time, and they will live in here eventually. But so it can stay there for now. And then the rest of the stuff that's in here is just stuff I want handy. This is all the equipment for the new system. I need to take all of this stuff out. So yeah, there's just a lot of piddly little repair and all do. And my plan is at this point to do the closet first, get it repaired, take the stuff out, get the walls repaired, paint the inside of the closet. So I bought the first jar of paint to try out in here, and then put the new system in, which should finish the closet, right? And then I can start putting stuff, using it to get stuff out of my way. This box is on hold for the next electronic waste disposal. You know, so it looks like I didn't finish the job, but it's done. I just have to wait until there's a scheduled e-waste to take it to. I can't move this. It's a little too heavy, but I'm going to put the safe. I can push that around, and I can push it under the table, and then I think I can push. I'm not even sure I can do that. It does have, it's empty. I took all the files out and redistributed them. These are all empties. So I may just throw those out and pull it across. But my point is, eventually what I'm going to do when it's time to do the rest of the room is just pull this into this space, cover it all with a tarp, and get to work on the walls. So that's where it stands. I'm feeling really good about that. And feeling like now I can go back and do my accountability, because at least this did get done up to this point. I don't consider it done because, for example, this stuff is flotsam. I have 7 boxes of old documents for taxes, and that I couldn't find that box when I put them all in their forever storage place. So I have to move some stuff out of the way, put that box in, file the things that are on top of it for that got loose and need to go in their proper boxes. And then there's a stack of stuff to take to my mom's to see if she wants any of that, because she was talking about wanting legal pads, and there's a bunch of those in there. And then there's stuff here. This is the last box that my son needs to go through. Here are some office supplies. I'm not sure where to keep these yet, but I don't want to get rid of them because there's a lot of padded mailers in there. This stuff goes in the car. Stuff over there goes either in the trash or in the car. So there's flotsam cleanup from this, but the room itself is ready that I can work in there.